What is up everybody, Shri Kanase here and welcome back to another Shopify video. So Google Ads has been on the rise when it comes to the amount of people that are wanting to use it. I've been getting a lot of messages from dropshippers just like yourself that want more information on Google Ads. I mean, literally every single video suggestion is about Google Ads. So I thought, why not go over the 5 common mistakes I've personally made when it comes to Google Ads and also those mistakes which I see a lot of beginners making currently. It is no secret that with Google Ads, there is just not as much information available as there is with Facebook ads, and because of this, a lot of people spend a lot of money unnecessarily. While I'm a big believer that you should definitely invest money so that you can learn from your mistakes, I do think that these common mistakes can be avoided in total. But by the end of this video, you're not only gonna know the 5 common mistakes that I've personally made with Google Ads after spending over $10,000 with them, but also how to avoid making these mistakes, so stick till the end. But without wasting any more time, let's just jump right into it. So the 5 common Google Ads mistakes, and going over these mistakes, you'll be on the pathway to success. But mistake number 1 is treating Google Ads like it's Facebook ads. Now this is number 1 on my list because I was the biggest culprit of this mistake. I consistently treated Google Ads as if it were Facebook ads, and on some occasions, I didn't even know whether I was working on my Google Ads or Facebook ads because I was so engulfed and focused on the campaigns that I was looking after. And at the time, I thought I was doing a good thing, but unfortunately, that was not so great. I spent money unnecessarily. I lost a lot of money unnecessarily just because I treated Google Ads like Facebook ads. But when it comes to this, you have to understand these two are completely separate advertising platforms. They work completely differently from each other. Even though there may be some similarities like the campaigns and the ads within the campaigns, the performance and the back end of these platforms work very, very differently from each other. So do not make the mistake of treating Google Ads like it's Facebook ads. But you may be saying, what do you mean by this? What I'm basically saying is that both of these require separate strategies. On Facebook ads, you would launch new ads on a daily basis or a weekly basis depending on how much budget you had, and each different campaign would be directed towards a different product, and each ad set within the campaign would have different types of ad copies. With the Google Ads, there's only one campaign in the beginning where you're just testing all of the products you have on your store inside this one campaign, and there are no multiple ads where you can split test the title of your products or the pricing, etc. It is just all jammed together inside one campaign, and you make adjustments to that one single campaign for every single product in there. In addition to that, one key difference between both is the amount of time required to gain performance. With Facebook ads, if you launch ads at midnight 12 a.m. at $100 a day budget, you should be expecting a lot of link clicks by the next day when you wake up. With Google Ads, however, it is very different. If you create a brand new Google Ads account, that account itself will take 2 to 4 weeks just to warm up basically. And in this warm up period, what Google does is it goes out, shows your products that you have on your store to different types of audiences, tries to see which audience is interacting, which audience is not interacting, and then makes decisions on that. But this entire process, especially if you just created a brand new ad account, may take up to 4 weeks. On the other hand, with Facebook ads, you could just create a brand new ads manager account, the next day launch 5 to 10 ad sets with purchase conversions and be expecting some kinds of sales. But with Google Ads, you can expect to lose some money in the beginning until your ad account is properly optimized, and after that you will start to see the return. In addition to that, when it comes to Facebook ads, you can make changes on a consistent daily basis or even an hourly basis, whereas with Google Ads it is completely different. I'll go over it as to how that works with Google Ads in my next slide. But when it comes to the descriptions, the words that you use in the descriptions or for the title or the SEO keywords, it is very, very different for both. With Facebook ads, I never even paid attention to how long my description was, whether it matched a certain amount of words within the description, and whether I used any SEO optimized keywords. But with Google Ads, it is the complete opposite. You have to pay attention to how many words you're putting into your description. I recommend over 200 words in your description, and you should make at least 20% of the description full of SEO optimized keywords. If you're not sure as to what I'm talking about, go ahead and click the link on the top right above my head, which is one Google Ads tutorial as to how that is done. But when it comes to Google, you're paying a lot more attention to your descriptions, to the titles, to the exact words that you use, because it is so different from Facebook ads. So that was my first mistake, just thinking that Google ads and Facebook ads may be very similar to each other and applying the same strategies. If you do this now, you're gonna just lose money, period. But moving on to mistake number 2, and this was making time-based decisions. So this kind of goes back to mistake number 1, thinking that Facebook ads and Google ads are alike. With Google ads, you just cannot make too many actions or do too many changes too frequently. In fact, after every single change, you should allow 4 to 7 days for the Google Ads campaign to properly optimize and show you any type of results. Just to show you an example, every time I increase my budget of my main winning campaigns on my Google Ads account for my Google Ads store, the next day that campaign literally gets me 0 sales. It doesn't matter if the previous day it got me 20 sales or 50 sales, the next day usually it will get me 0 sales. And that is because I just optimized the budget. I completely changed it from what it was before, and because of this, with Google Ads, everything just takes time. Now, normal people would just stop that campaign entirely if their campaign just stopped getting the results like that in the next day. But what I noticed is that it gets me 0 sales the next day, and if I let it run until the next 3 to 5 to 7 days, it starts going back to normal. It starts getting me 20 sales, 50 sales, 100 sales. But the thing is, after it properly optimizes after 5 to 7 days, it gets me more and more sales and more profit than it previously did. But I would have not known this had I just panicked and shut off the campaign one day after because it didn't get me sales. With Facebook ads, usually you can sometimes do that, especially if you're running campaigns at higher budget, but with Google ads, that is a big no. The whatever changes or whatever actions you take on your Google ads account require time. I highly suggest that you do not make more than one change at a time. So for the solution, what you should be doing is make one change, wait 3 to 7 days, see how it gets you results. If it gets you good results, good. Keep on making more changes. If it gets you bad results, revert back to what it was originally and then make another change. So it's kind of like a back and forth game with Google ads, whereas with Facebook ads, you could just launch a few ad sets and a few campaigns and directly know the next day whether they were profitable or not, and then make changes based on that. But with Google ads, I always recommend that you wait 3 to 7 days to make any kinds of decisions, and whatever decisions you make are time-based. Don't take too many and don't do too many changes frequently. If you make the changes after the 3 to 7 day waiting period, then that is completely fine. But moving on to mistake number 3, and this is making changes to the product data feed. Now, if you use Google Shopping ads for your Shopify Dropshipping store, you have to have a special app called Google Shopping Feed installed on your store. And what this app does is it takes all of the information you have on your Shopify store for your specific products, like the SEO title, SEO description, the photos that you have, etc., and it pushes it and submits it to Google. Because of this, you are able to use your products for the ads that you run on your Google Ads account. But what a lot of people don't know is that you can make a lot of changes on the Google Shopping Feed app itself. You can go into the settings and change a lot of things, like what SEO keywords you should use or which images you can use, etc. So this is kind of like the back end stuff of that app which you can change, and I highly recommend that you play around with it and do make changes, because some of these changes can really help you get more results. But what a lot of people don't know is that if you make changes on the back end through the Google Shopping Feed app, every single product you have on your store and the campaign that is running these products gets affected. So what I personally recommend is that once a campaign is working for a specific product and you're starting to scale that product, make as little changes as you can inside the Google Shopping Feed app. Because what I've noticed is that even the smallest errors and the smallest words added to your description or the image changes can trigger an issue in the back end and make your products get disapproved by Google. This happened to me personally. Just a few weeks ago, I had a main winning product which was just selling on fire. I was over $1,000 days. And one day while I was playing in the back end, I decided to change the image for that product. Little did I know that that simple change of image literally ruined my entire optimized campaign. And the next day, I had less than half of the sales what I normally got. In addition to that, I was in a loss for the entire 2 weeks that followed, because I was just trying to get the campaign to optimize again. So in this case, my entire optimization for that winning campaign was lost. And as you guys know already, Google is a time-based advertising platform. It takes time for it to really start giving good return on ad spend. And because of my one single small mistake and my one small change, my entire optimized campaign was de-optimized, and I had to wait 2 weeks and go into losses just to get that back on track. So this is mistake number 3, which is not making too many changes to your product data feed. I'm not saying that you should completely avoid it. Of course, make changes, but again, it goes back to the number 2 mistake, which is making one change at a time and not doing too many things all at once. Because once your products get disapproved by Google, even though you get them reapproved again within a short period of time, your optimized campaigns will have to re-optimize again. So that is one big hassle when it comes to Google Ads. But moving on to mistake number 4, and that is scaling too fast. Now I put the word scaling in parentheses because you can't really scale when it comes to Google Ads. I mean, you can't really force more people to search your keywords for your winning products. Your ads will only get shown to those people actually searching for it. But if your campaign is reaching its assigned budget every single day, then it may be time to increase the budget and scale it in that sense. But one mistake I did was making huge budget changes every 3 to 7 days. And by huge, I mean making 2 times to 3 times budget increments. So this goes back to my winning product, which I had a few weeks ago, where the campaign was running at about $50 per day and it was generating me around $1,000 in sales. So as a normal person would, I kind of became greedy and I wanted more and more sales. Instead of taking those slight, small changes and adjustments to my budget, I decided to 2 times the budget. So I increased it from $50 per day to $100 per day. At that time, I didn't know that making these big, huge changes to the budget or the bid of the campaign leads to unoptimized campaigns. So the next day I didn't get any sales, and this followed for 3 to 4 days. So I was spending about $100 a day without getting any types of good results. I was in a loss every single day. So from that, I realized that making these big budget changes aren't really the best way to scale your campaigns when it comes to Google Ads. Instead, what you should be doing is making 20% increments. So what I mean by this is, let's say you have a campaign running really well at $100 per day. Increase the budget of that campaign by 20% or $20. So now you would increase it to $120. And then at $120, if it starts performing well, increase it by 20% again. Even though these are small changes and you have to wait 5 to 7 days to make them, in the long run, you'll make tons and tons of more profit than you would becoming greedy like I did. Google Ads, again, is a very time-based advertising platform. You just have to give it time for it to really start working properly and get you that good return on ad spend. But increase your budget by 20%, wait 5 to 7 days for the positive effect. But if you still want to go ahead and make that 2 times or 3 times budget increase, just be sure to have a large amount of budget to be working with, because campaign will slightly get de-optimized and it will take time for it to really start spending that $100 effectively towards the audience which is most likely to purchase. And the same goes for the bid. I originally used to increase the bid by 5 cents or 10 cents, meaning if the bid was at 20 cents, I would increase it to 25 cents directly, or sometimes even 30 cents. And what I noticed is that the next few days would not be that great in terms of results because I may have increased the bid by too much. So instead, what I started doing is I started making smaller increments. Instead of 5 cent or 10 cent increments, I started making 2 cent or 3 cent increments. So from 20 cents, I would increase it to 23 cents, then 25 cents, etc. And what we're doing is we're kind of letting Google find our audience nice and slowly and getting it optimized without putting too much of a burden or pressure on our campaign. Because when you increase the bid or the budget tremendously, there's a bigger burden on your campaign to spend that money. And like any advertising platform, they want to reach the end of the limit as fast as they can, meaning whatever your new budget is, they want to spend all of it because that's how they earn money. So to keep more money inside your pocket, make smaller increments when it comes to bidding as well as when it comes to the budget. But moving on to our final mistake, and that is all products inside of one single campaign. Now, in the beginning of this video, I mentioned that Facebook ads is very different from Google ads. With Google ads, you can put all of your products inside one campaign. And while this works for the beginning stages, once you have crossed that warm-up period of 4 weeks, you need to make 2 campaigns. One campaign will have a higher bid and the other campaign will have a lower bid. But before I tell you exactly how to do that, just know that some products don't work on certain bidding points. You may be thinking, if you put a higher bid for a product, shouldn't it actually work? And with Google, it kind of works differently. I've had products where they just don't work or just don't sell at a higher bid limit of maybe 40 cents or 50 cents. But when I put them inside a lower bid campaign of maybe 5 cents or 10 cents, they start selling like fire. And the reason behind this is that the keywords that the product was ranking for when it had a higher bid were not keywords that were properly optimized for that product, meaning those keywords could be for different types of products. But when the lower bid campaign began to work, the keywords that the product started ranking for were very, very similar to what the people were searching for. And that is why they became interested in your product and started purchasing it. So just know that not all products will work at different bid points. Some products will work at lower bid points, other products will work at higher bid points. And this also happens because there are different types of competition and different types of search volume for each specific product. Just jamming all of it inside one specific campaign and expecting one bid to work for it may not always be the best case. So exactly how do you separate these specific campaigns with high bid campaigns and low bid campaigns? A high bid campaign is a campaign where the bid limit is at 30 cents or more. You'll notice that a lot of products do sell at this bid limit, but there are also a lot of products which just don't work at this bid limit. What you should be doing is you should be starting another general campaign at the same budget as the high bid campaign, but set the bid of this low bidding campaign at only 10 cents. So this will be our lower bid campaign, and it will help you rank your products at a lower cost. So the keywords that you're ranking for with this campaign compared to the first campaign will be completely different. And again, you'll see very, very different results for both of these. But those were the 5 mistakes and the 5 solutions when it comes to Google Ads. If you found any type of value in this video, make sure to smash that like button down below. And don't forget to subscribe if this is the first time you're on my channel. And I'll see you guys next time.